I can hear people on the other side of my wall, and I don't know what to do. My name is Nathan, and there are people moving around on the other side of my bedroom wall, and I don't know what to do. It started a couple of weeks ago when I was laying in my bed trying to sleep when I heard something move around. It was small and barely audible, maybe a mouse or a cat or something. All the houses in my development have really thin walls, so it wasn't uncommon to hear things moving around outside, especially at night. It continued for a couple of minutes, and I didn't think much of it. Went to sleep soon after it stopped. I didn't hear anything for a day or two after that. The next time I heard something was at bedtime again. It was late, and by the time I got my bed out, my room is tiny, so I save on space with a folding mat I sleep on. I was ready to pass out. My eyes were heavy, and consciousness was failing me. Just before I was out, I heard it for a second time. More shuffling. Again, I didn't really think too much of it, but I've always been a little paranoid, so I had to wait for it to stop before my body would let me sleep. This time was different. After a couple of minutes of shuffling, I heard a distinct thump, 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 thump. It sounded just like footsteps would coming from another room with hardwood flooring. This roused me because it came from the same wall as the last noise the day before. An external wall. There's nothing past that wall except for 30 feet of grass before you hit the neighbor's shed, and another 20 until the neighbor's house. What the heck? I muttered under my breath. Immediately after the words left my mouth, the noise stopped. I sat there staring at the wall with my heart pounding. A few minutes passed, which felt like an eternity to my poor heart. And nothing happened. No more noises. After my heart settled down, I felt a wave of embarrassment wash over me. How could there be footsteps in a room that didn't exist? It was late and I was exhausted. I must have been imagining things. Like when you're drifting asleep and imagine falling and jolt awake. Hell, it could have been someone banging on something in another house. It still bothered me, though. It sounded so close. It still bothered me the next morning, and I couldn't quite shake that feeling. So before I went to work, I went around the house to look over the area on the other side of my bedroom. You'll never believe what I found. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. After a couple of minutes of looking and some weird glances from dog walkers on the sidewalk out front, I couldn't help but laugh a little. You're losing it, Nate. I scolded myself with an embarrassed smile as I jumped in my car and drove to work. A few boring days later, while I was waiting for a delivery to take, I'm a pizza delivery guy, I recalled the odd events in the week earlier. Yet again, a sense of cringe hit me and I couldn't do anything but laugh at myself. I texted my girlfriend JJ and told her about it. She laughed with me and teased me about it. She told me I should even write a spooky story about it. I have no idea what direction to even take something like that. Maybe the footsteps are some sort of people from a parallel universe, and the barrier between our universe and theirs is wearing thin on that spot. Or maybe you could make it like a psychosis thing or ghosts, or... I hate stopping her when she's excited. I have no idea how to even write or format stories. Truth be told, I'm not even interested in writing. I'm just keeping this journal so I don't go completely stir-crazy in my own head. It's been 2 weeks since the first time I heard the noise, and JJ keeps bugging me to write a short story about them. She says it would be good for me to take up writing instead of just going to work and gaming when I get home. You need to get out of your shell. I know you don't like people, so I'm not going to drag you out of the house. But you need to do something else to exercise that brain of yours. She's always looking out for me, wanting me to be the best version of myself I can be. It's annoying, but she's got a point, and I can't help but want to do better for her. Tomorrow, I'll try writing something, but don't be disappointed when it doesn't turn out any good. I texted her. I would have paid good money to see how thrilled she was, but I couldn't help but smile when her flood of excited texts came streaming in on my phone. I wasn't nearly as excited as she was, but that was a problem for tomorrow. I still have my games tonight. I got my bed out and put on some soft white noise, a recommendation from JJ. I was thinking about the story I'd reluctantly agreed to write. Where do I start? Where do I take it? I could make it a ghost story. I've always liked those. But I live in a new development, and to my knowledge, this wasn't some sort of ancient Indian burial ground. I guess I didn't need to make it about my house in particular. Ghost stories are getting kind of stale. I don't know. That's tomorrow's dilemma. I should get some sleep. I laid there, eyes sealed shut, trying to stop thinking about the story and its possibilities and just sleep. Just as I turned over and got comfortable, I heard it again. A booming thud, followed by 2 distinct sets of footsteps. I was already up, crouched low and eyes locked on the bare wall. This was real. I wasn't crazy. The footsteps sounded like they were about 15 feet away and they were getting closer. They were approaching the wall. I tried to stand and run, but my legs were jelly. 10 feet away. In a desperate panic, I grabbed the knife off my dinner plate and clutched as tight as a rock climber had gripped their cliffside in a thunderstorm. 5 feet. My whole body was shaking. My knuckles were white as marble around the hilt of the knife. A couple of feet. The only thing between them and I was a paper-thin wall that the builders cut corners on. Silence. There was no sound except for my heart exploding in my ears. Minutes, hours, days could have passed in that silence and I wouldn't have known. Finally, with a shock to my senses, there was a deafening scratching noise. In a brief second of terror, I thought they were scratching through the wall, until the noise started getting quieter, smaller. They were dragging something away from the wall, like two kids dragging the dining table across the room. After a couple of minutes of this, the noises disappeared into the silent night, and I was left there staring at the wall until the sun came up. There are people making noises on the other side of my wall, and I don't know what to do. And that was I Can Hear People on the Other Side of My Wall, and I Don't Know What to Do by BullTheTeddyBear. So I picked this story for a number of reasons, and I think one of the first ones was because the first line says, "My name is Nathan," and I was like, well, I've got to read it now. If it's got my name in it, I feel like I have to, right? Like, I have to. And then, obviously, I did. And I realized, this is actually quite an interesting story, because it's another one of those situations of fear of the unknown, like, why? What's going on? How is it exactly working? Is it an entity? Is it a ghost? Is it some other supernatural forces at play? You know, it's great. It's interesting. There's also a lot of parallels to my life, which kind of spooks me a little bit, because I too used to only work, come home, play video games, and have a supporting partner. Anyway, that's irrelevant. What does matter here is let's kind of talk a little bit about this story. So my first thoughts is it makes me think of House of Leaves, which, for those of you who don't know what House of Leaves is, it's a super trippy, crazy story. It's a great book. It's told from, I think, 3 different perspectives, actually, or maybe 4. I think it's kind of 4 different perspectives, and it's bizarre. It's weird, and one of the stories is mainly about this space that's found where they find out that their house measurements on the inside are bigger than the house measurements on the outside. Essentially, it's saying that their house is bigger on the inside, which sounds like a whole Doctor Who thing, which is really funny. But it turns out they have like an extra bizarro space, if you want to call it. It makes you think of like a liminal space, kind of a backroomsy type thing. And basically, there's like a door that appears out of nowhere that the husband goes and investigates, and it's like a spooky realm. And he basically tries to measure out the place and figure out what's going on, and it's like endless. It keeps going. I think it's a staircase at one point. It's really hard to see, and it's creepy. It's great. It's awesome. And this makes me think of that because, yet again, it's not visible from the outside, right? And so I think that's kind of what's going on here a little bit. It's almost like there is a different, maybe reality or dimensional space or something like that. I don't know exactly what he's going for with the story, but it sounds like there is some alternate space that can only be accessed maybe from his insides. It's inside the apartment. And it could be true, might not be true. Maybe there's something else going on. But the fact that he's hearing what sounds like somebody running and sometimes like dragging things on hardwood floor in an area that should only be grassy is weird. It's interesting, it's strange, I love it. And unless he's got like a borrowers type situation, which I still don't think they can make those kind of noises, I don't think that's what's going on. Could there be things inside his walls? It's very possible, absolutely. I think we shouldn't rule anything out. It's so intriguing. It's so intriguing, and I want to know more. I want to know what else is going on. Are his neighbors playing a prank on him, maybe? It's hard to say. So, if you want my opinion, if there's going to be continuation of this character, he needs 2 cameras. He needs one inside, right? Obviously facing the wall, but with audio and video, and outside, but potentially with night vision on the outside one, facing that wall as well, but probably for a bit more of a wide angle as well, just in case there's other things going on, creepy crawlies in the yard or something. Who knows? I sure don't. You might have a raid going on or something. We don't know. I'm just saying. You never know. Gotta be careful in these situations. I really like this story. I really like the story a lot. And I would really like to see if Nathan carries it on. I know, it says Bull the Teddy Bear, but in our chat he told me he's Nathan. Which is really funny. A tale of three Nathans. How about that? I've really enjoyed the story. I sure hope you have too. Thank you so much for watching / listening. And we will we'll see you for whatever's next. Let me know down below what you thought, what you are thinking, and what you'd like me to read next. Bye-bye. Thank you to the YouTube and Patreon members who've been supporting this channel so far. This has been a fantastic effort. Thank you so much. I couldn't do any of this without your support. Really, I really can't. Thank you. You can also show support through a donation at coffee.com/nateatnight, or whenever I'm live streaming through Super Chats of YouTube or through Twitch. And whenever you donate, I'll be sure to read your messages out on stream.